Do guppies' tails grow back? Yes, guppies can grow their tails and fins back, but don't expect anything too radical. After all, they are not lizards. Guppies will heal some damage, but only up to a point. If the damages are too great, their healing capacity will no longer be 100% effective. Today, we will dive into the guppies' healing abilities, aiming to shed light on the problems they might face along the way. Reasons why guppies' fins get damaged. It's natural for guppies to experience some damages to their fins and tails throughout their lives. These are generally minor damages that will heal relatively fast. Most are only visible upon closer inspection, and will go away several days later naturally. Guppies will display damaged fins or tails due to disease. Fin rot is common among guppies, as well as other fish breeds. This is a disease with multiple potential causes, primarily stress. A guppy living in constant stress, due to poor tank conditions, or bullying can experience a weakened immune system. This will leave the fish vulnerable to bacteria and viruses, with fin rot being one of the outcomes. Fin rot can be either fungal or bacterial, and each condition will require various treatment approaches. One of the symptoms is the visible tears in the guppy's fins and tail. Fortunately, you can diagnose the condition in its early phases, which will increase the treatment success. Some of the early signs of fin rot include fins with red and sore tips, tattered edges, and even darker in color. Leaving the disorder untreated will bring an array of other problems. One of them is that this disease will further weaken the guppy's immune system, opening the door for other conditions along the way. The symptoms will also aggravate, including severely rotten fins, body rot, major discoloration, lethargy, and loss of appetite. It's important to act in the early stages since this disease can reach deadly proportions. The good news is that fin rot is treatable in early phases, and it will take weeks before reaching advanced stages. Injury. Your guppies may experience injuries for a variety of reasons, including touching rugged objects in the tank or experiencing bullying from other, larger fish. These injuries are usually minor and will heal by themselves within several days. The key thing to note here is prevention. If you notice your guppies displaying damaged fins and tail, try to identify the cause and fix the situation. Bullying, for instance, is common in tanks with multiple males, with the larger ones bullying the smaller males. Bullying isn't dangerous in and of itself unless it repeats constantly. This will happen more often in a male-only tank where you have less than 6 males. This will lead the stronger, more imposing males to bully the weaker ones. Sometimes, there is only one victim, with multiple bullies constantly nipping at its fins and tail. This can cause injuries and stress the victim, lowering its immune system and further sabotaging its healing abilities. It's not uncommon for bullied guppies to experience infections and fall victim to diseases over time. Your goal should be to identify the bullying behavior and take action to stop it fast. Fighting. Guppies have hierarchies that are often managed through physical violence. Guppy males are also territorial and will protect their right to food and females fiercely. Having too many males and not enough females will spell disaster shortly. Males will become combative and fight each other with often grim consequences. To prevent such unfortunate scenarios, you should always look for signs of aggression in your guppy tank, especially if you have more males than you should. You have several options to drop the male's aggressive tendencies, including increasing the tank size, adding more females, and provide the fish with more hiding spots. How to treat fin rot in guppies. As we've already discussed, fin rot is a progressive disorder that can prove fatal. It can also be contagious, depending on its cause, which means early detection and treatment are necessary to contain it. The treatment for fin rot should consist of several phases. Immediate quarantine. You should immediately quarantine the sick fish if you're unsure of the condition's cause and contagion factor. Place it in a separate environment that should replicate the main tank's environmental conditions. This will protect the healthy guppy population in case the disease is contagious. Ensure optimal tank conditions and frequent water changes. You may need to perform daily water changes, changing up to 80% of the water. This will eliminate any unwanted harmful bacteria, improve water oxygenation, and remove the microorganisms resulting from fish waste. You should also verify the levels of ammonia and nitrites to provide your guppy with a safe environment. Using targeted medication. Antibiotics are extremely effective at combating bacterial infections, except there's a catch. Not all antibiotics work the same for all fish. You should always consult your veterinarian before using any type of medication. The expert will inform you on the specific antibiotic to use, how long the treatment will last, and recommend specific treatment tweaks based on your guppy's response. As a side note, early treatment is necessary to treat fin rot effectively and prevent a comeback. Depending on its causes, the fin rot disorder may progress slow or faster and can become deadly. If the disorder is already in advanced phases, euthanasia may be your only option left. How to treat damaged fin in guppies. First, you need to identify the causes. If the damages are rather minor, resulting from your fish bumping into the tank's decorations, you don't need to take any drastic measures. The injuries will heal by themselves within a day or two. You can even remove some of the decorations causing the problems if you think that will minimize the risks of other fish experiencing similar issues. If the injuries are the result of bullying or even attacks from other fish, address the situation accordingly. You can rebalance the tank's dynamics by providing more hiding places. Have several plants in your aquarium like Java moss or guppy grass. These are great options for aquascaping and will provide your fish with a lot of hiding spots. A moderate system of caves and rocks will also help in this sense. Ensure a healthy male-to-female ratio. Guppy males tend to be hyperactive around females, especially during mating. They can even grow aggressive towards one another when competing for the females. Keeping a 1:3 ratio between males and females is key to reducing the male's aggression. Minimize size differences between the fish. The larger fish will almost always bully the smaller ones. The situation can even turn deadly when the size differences are significant. The larger fish may even hunt the smaller ones to kill and eat them. Make sure all tank inhabitants are similar in size to prevent such unfortunate scenarios. Provide enough food. Your guppies should receive a balanced and diverse diet, with regular meals as much as possible. If they don't get enough food, they might turn on each other. Guppies won't kill one another, but they can nip on each other's fins and tails, causing injuries and opening the door to infections and diseases. Like with anything, you should always consider what could cause your guppy's fin and tail injuries and prevent those situations. If you can't, you will have to adapt to each situation and address it accordingly before it aggravates. Can guppies regrow their tails? Only partially. Guppies' tails contain organic matter, which can regenerate after sustaining injuries. But, just like with humans, this regenerative effect is rather minimal. Don't expect your guppy to regenerate a completely destroyed tail, because it's not going to happen. Most guppies, however, will regenerate their tail fins within 4 to 6 weeks if the cause of the injuries was mechanical in nature. If the damages come from fin rot, your guppy may not be able to regenerate it. Can guppies survive without fin tail? Yes, although it may impair their swimming. Guppies use their dorsal fins as the main propulsion system, while the tail fin is mostly useful for changing direction. Your guppies may live without their tail fin, but their quality of life will drop. If you notice your guppy swimming erratically, bumping into things, and struggling to maintain its buoyancy, it may be best to euthanize it. Conclusion: Guppies can grow their tails back in some cases, but that doesn't mean that you should take this ability for granted. Fin and tail injuries may quickly progress into more serious conditions if left untreated. I suggest monitoring the tank dynamics regularly to prevent bullying or aggressive behavior and identify sick fish. This will allow you to take immediate measures to prevent the situation from aggravating.